Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Popular Decks. I'm your host Michael and I'm here with another spicy brew for you guys. Just a reminder, as always, give me any feedback in the comment section below and follow me on Twitter if you want to get live updates on whenever I go live streaming or whenever I put out new videos. And hit subscribe on the video if you want to be alerted whenever I put out new YouTube content. Let's get to the deck. We've got black-green Tortured Existence today. So as of the recording of this, which I'm coming to you about a week in the past, this deck just went 5-0 yesterday, I believe. And the point of the deck, for those of you who don't know, is to get Tortured Existence into play and then basically outgrind your opponents and just value them to death. So card Tortured Existence is a really old one. And what it lets you do, it's sort of like Survival of the Fittest, except that you discard a creature card and return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Back in the days of Stronghold, I guess they decided that this was an effect that wasn't too complicated for common. Today, this card would never get printed at common, ever, not even close. So, but it's really cool. So there's a lot of ways to get value from it. You can get value with Madness creatures, so you're discarding them, so you get to Madness these back. What we're doing is we're trying to basically get back a Spore Frog every single turn and fog the whole game. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the, got some 1-ofs and some 2-ofs and stuff in the deck. So it's just a black-green deck. We've got 23 lands, which is kind of a lot, but this deck is really mana hungry. So you can imagine we want to use Tortured Existence several times every turn, almost every turn. So we definitely want all these lands. We've got one Fume Spitter, which is great against Delver, and it can take up problem stuff. And the thing is, you don't need to actually kill something that only has 1 toughness. You can kill a lot of bigger stuff with this because you can get it back a couple times. We've got Sanitarium Skeleton, so this is kind of one of the big engines of the deck. It allows you to get back multiple creatures every turn. So imagine I use my Tortured Existence, discard a Sanitarium Skeleton, pick up my Spore Frog, cast my Spore Frog. Okay, now I'm protected next turn with a Fog. And then I spend 3 mana to get Sanitarium Skeleton back, so now I've just gotten my Spore Frog back for free. So you can do that every single turn until you get up enough mana to do more stuff in the same turn. Then we've got Vessel of Nascency. It helps us find Tortured Existence, puts creature cards in our graveyard, helps us find lands. Commune with the Gods does almost the same thing. It doesn't find lands, but it lets us dig a little further, and it's cheaper than Vessel. We've got 2 Ravenous Rats, which are to help combat the control decks of the format. If we get really crazy on mana, we can like get a Fume Spitter back, kill our rat, get the rat back, make them discard their card every single turn. That probably won't happen, but you never know. We've got a Sakura Tribe Elder and a Satyr Wayfinder to help us get more lands. Crypt Rats to sweep the board. That's really what we want to do in this deck. We want to fog every turn and then sweep everything away with Crypt Rats. Got 1 Phyrexian Rager just for the value. It's a nice creature, draws a card. Remember, when you draw a card, you can delve, which is what we're getting up to, or dredge, which we're getting up to next. So this gives us another opportunity to draw a card on our turn if we decide we need to draw something. Then I've got 6 dredge creatures here. We almost never cast these. Sometimes you cast Stinkweed Imp as a nice blocker, but typically these are just to fill up our graveyard with stuff. And the Brown Scale is really another way that you can stay alive and pull really far ahead. Burn can basically never beat this guy if you have a Tortured Existence in play. You can really just get him back a ton of times. Grave Scrabbler, I mentioned before, it has Madness. And this is really a 2-for-1 with Tortured Existence. You get to get back a creature, plus then you get to cast this guy and get another creature. So it's more like a 3-for-1. It's like our version of Muldrifter. And the newest addition to the deck that actually makes it, I think, a good deck, because this deck has always been a little bit too slow, not quite able to keep up with the strong Tier 1 decks of the format. Thorn of the Black Rose. So, for those of you who don't know what the Monarch is, when this comes into play, you become the Monarch, and at the end of your turn, if you're the Monarch, you draw a card. So you get to draw 2 cards every turn as long as you're the Monarch. However, you lose the Monarch, your opponent becomes the Monarch if they deal combat damage to you. Luckily for us, we've got Spore Frog in our deck, so basically, oftentimes on turn 3 we'll play a Spore Frog, turn 4 we'll play Thorn, and then they won't be able to attack us back, so we'll get to keep the Monarch again, and so on. And then eventually we just draw Tortured Existence, get a Spore Frog every turn, they never get to draw again. Crescent Tusker is basically kind of like the Satyr Wayfinder and the Scourge Eye Belder. It's a way to get lands, but it's a good way to instant speed get like a Bronze Scale out of your graveyard. It's a 2-for-1, so whenever you cycle it, you get to get a basic land card. So it's kind of like a weird combination of Green Divination and Cultivate. So you get to have a land in your hand and draw a card, so it's like halfway in between those two. In the sideboard, we've got a bunch of random stuff. We've got some Duresses for the control matchups. We got another Fume Spitter, Caustic Caterpillar for Affinity or for Boggles, another Rat for the control stuff, Very Macabre for any graveyard decks. I'm not sure how much graveyard hate should really be in people's decks, but people play a lot of it. There aren't that many graveyard decks in the format. Like none of the top 6 decks, I think, use their graveyard really for anything, but people still keep a lot of these in play, and when you're playing a really slow, long, grindy game, you do kind of want these. We probably need them for Tron, which is the only reasonably top tier deck that uses this graveyard. We got some Liliana Specters, take out our opponent's hand, Gnaw to the Bone for the burn matchups and other really aggressive matchups. You can easily gain 20 life with this, no problem. Grimeg Angler is a quick clock if we need it. Can be really strong. We fill up our graveyard super fast with this deck, so Grimeg Angler on turn 3 is no problem. All you need is 1 Commune with the gods, so Grimeg Angler is no problem to cast. That's pretty much it for the deck. Remember, like I said before, subscribe to me if you want more content like this. Leave me any feedback in the comments below, and follow me on Twitter if you want to get updates whenever I post a new video or whenever I go live on Twitch. And with that, let's get to some games.